There's a story called The Other Wise Man. It's been made at least twice in the TV movies, the last time with Martin Sheen and Alan Arkin. If you ever see it, I think it's absolutely marvelous. Alan Arkin is funny as all get out as the sidekick to Martin Sheen. He's always trying to get him to go back home. Of course, this Christmas I haven't seen it played on the major TV networks, as usual. But the story goes like this, and it's an absolutely marvelous story. The central character is a fellow by the name of Artaban. He's played by Martin Sheen. He's a magus, that singular of magi. His father is the head magus who wants Artaban to take his place one day. But Artaban has his heart set on joining up with some other magi and following a star that he believes will lead him to the King of Kings. His father is heartbroken. Artaban leaves with a servant, played by Alan Arkin, to meet up with the other magi. But he's detained when he stops to help someone out who's in trouble. He uses one of the precious stones he is carrying to give to the king in order to help the person out. This delay means he misses connection with the other magi. To make a long story short, Artaban is always one step behind the others and never quite catches up with them. For example, he arrives in Bethlehem okay, but both the Magi and the Holy Family are gone. On his way back home, he's finally listened to Alan Arkin's character. He's attacked by a bunch of outcasts who are living in the hill country. These people need help. So Artaban decides to stay with them. One day leads to 1 week. 1 week leads to 1 month. 1 month leads to 1 year. And years and years and years go by. And Artaban spends his entire life helping out these people, using up all of his precious stones, save one. He is now old and sickly. He never realized his dream of meeting the King of Kings. If the story had ended there, it would be a sad story, wouldn't it? Of a man who never realized his dream. But it doesn't end there. One of the outcasts, who's a blind boy, whom Artaban has been trying to cure unsuccessfully, one day comes home from Jerusalem cured of his blindness by a rabbi he calls Jesus. Artaban believes he must be the king he's been looking for his whole life. So he gets someone to help him get to Jerusalem so he can finally meet the king. Before he gets there, he sees someone he knows in trouble, and he gives his last precious stone away to ransom the girl. Unfortunately, and you've probably figured it out by now, even if you haven't seen the movie, he arrives on Good Friday. Jesus is being crucified. Broken-hearted, when he sees he can do nothing to help the king, he starts to have a heart attack. But something wonderful happens. Artaban hears the king's voice say to him, "Don't be broken-hearted, Artaban. You've been helping me all your life. When I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. Naked, and you clothed me. A stranger, and you took me in." Artaban, in a very weak voice, replies, "When did I ever do these things for you, my king?" And Jesus replies, "Whenever you did them to one of these little ones, you did it to me." Artaban dies, a happy man, knowing the king has accepted his gift after all, a life of caring for others. The story of Artaban is like the story of many people in our world. Like Artaban, they begin life with the dream of doing something great. But as time passes, circumstances beyond their control interfere with their dream. Eventually, it disappears. Consider a talented woman who dreams of a professional career in business or art. But before she can launch her career, she meets someone and marries him. Soon, they begin a family. And as they do, the young woman's dream gradually fades, as did Artaban's. The woman ends up giving herself full time to her young family. The story of the woman could end here, and if it did, some people would consider it a sad story. It would be the story of a woman who never realized her one big dream. But the story doesn't end here. It won't until someday in the future when Jesus says to the woman what he said to Artaban, "You've been helping me all your life. Which you did for your family, you did for me." Or consider the story of a talented young man who dreamt of climbing the corporate ladder. He works hard and gives his all, but the brakes go against him. It's not his fault. It's just the way the ball bounces. Through it all, however, a young man remains honest, he works hard, he remains faithful. The story could end here, and if it did, some people would consider it a sad story. It would be the story of a man who never realized his one big dream. But the story doesn't end here. It won't until Jesus says to the man what he said to Artaban, "You've been helping me all your life. Which you did honestly and faithfully, you did for me." Or consider the true story of a young man named Tony. He traveled all over the world, appearing widely on stage and on television as a drummer in a world-famous music group. Then one day, Tony felt called to the priesthood. When he resigned from the music group to enter a seminary, some people thought, well, he was a fool. The story could end here, and if it did, some would consider it to be a sad story. It would be the story of a young man who let a dream slip through his fingers. But the story doesn't end here. Tony's now a priest in the Diocese of Dallas, and he's tremendously happy. Jesus will someday say to him what he said to Artaban, "You've been helping me all your life, Tony. You did for your parishioners what you did for me." The solemnity of Epiphany reminds us that we all have a gift we can give to the King of Kings. And the story of the other wise man reminds us that our gift is far more precious than those of the other three wise men. Our gift is not a one-time gift of gold, frankincense, or myrrh. It's a full-time gift of love and service. Some people may consider us foolish for giving this gift, but that's only because they don't know the end of the story. The story will end with Jesus saying to us what he said to Artaban, "Come, you are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. A stranger, and you welcomed me. Whatever you did for one of these least of mine, you did for me." Let's close with a prayer of generosity by St. Ignatius of Loyola. It goes like this: Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labor and not to ask for reward, except to know that I am doing your will. Amen.